Do you know this guy, Aravind? It's an anonymous account. Tweets on geopolitical matters. I'll show you. So it's an anonymous account. Nobody knows who he is and very interesting tweets. But he tweeted something and he will kind of retweet this. So open the retweet.
Him. Yeah,
open the retweet. This is done on June 16th, which is like about 10-12 days ago. आज 27th है ना? हाँ, नीचे जा. और ये सबसे पहले open source intel खोल. So breaking, this is from June 16. Senior Iranian official Mohsin Rai claims Pakistan want Iran. If Israel drops a nuclear bomb on Tehran, we'll respond with a nuclear strike on Israel. Now go back. And this is a tweet he put out. This statement by Pakistan means the US wants to halt Israel-Iran conflict immediately against Israel's wishes, having used Israel to achieve its own aim. So let me explain. And then...
Yeah, okay, Pakistan... Okay, this I disagree with. And I disagree with this...
you speak in the mic, please.
I'm sorry. This is something I disagree with. Like, Arvind's a very dear friend of mine.
You know this guy?
I know him. He's very perspicacious. The thing is, he hasn't been to those sit-down meetings with the Americans and Pakistanis. We know the extent. We know the frustrations of the Americans with the Pakistanis. We've had lots of classified briefings about this by the Americans. We've also discussed this with lots of Pakistan Strategic Force commanders over single malts. They don't touch pork, but they drink copious quantities of single malt, by the way. Where they have explained to us in great detail what the command and control structure is. Make no mistake, the Pakistani nuclear arsenal is the Pakistani nuclear arsenal.
It's not American.
It is not American.
Which is what Arvind is claiming here.
Arvind is mistaken in this score.
Sure, he's also reading between lines.
Because he values his anonymity.
Right, sure.
Anyway, the thing is, in this case, Arvind is wrong.
Okay.
We have seen the frustration. The Americans have done a lot of classified briefings for us.
Right.
And off the record conversations where, they've told us all the frustrations of, they have a fairly good idea of what Pakistan is doing. They trained the trainers for the personnel reliability program, because this was at a time when Pakistan was threatening suitcase bombs. Then they stopped threatening suitcase bombs because the Americans came up with a plan B and said, if you threaten these suitcase bombs and, accidentally on purpose giving it to terrorists, we will come in and we will take away your nukes. And there's nothing you can do about it. And they're like, oh shit, that was meant to be a threat for India, but it ended up that America felt more threatened by it. And they stopped all that talk of suitcase bombs.
Interesting.
Okay. And because America feared that some crazy deranged mullah would get possession of this, there were all kinds of checks and balances that the Pakistanis introduced by themselves. First, they have a radicalization vetting program. If you're a radical, they will not even be allowed to enter the program. They'll go interview your family. If your family is radical also, you will not be allowed to enter the nuclear program and things. There are steps they have taken to convince the Americans that these bombs will not fall into the wrong hands. And that includes, in India, it is a two-stage process, which is the warhead is held separately and the missile, the delivery mechanism, it can be a missile, whatever, is a gravity bomb, whatever, is held separately. It is the warhead is always held by the Atomic Energy Commission. The Prime Minister gives the order to the National Security Advisor. The National Security Advisor orders the fusing of the two devices. Okay.
Got it.
It is then fused, and even then the Prime Minister has to go ahead even at that point for the missile to take off. Okay, or launch. In Pakistan, it goes a step further. The bomb is held by one section of the PAEC, Pakistan Atomic Energy Commission. The fuse for the bomb, the detonation trigger, is held by another person. They are never co-located. India at least co-locates the fuse and this thing.
Right.
It is the code that has to be relayed. Here, it is not even that. And basically that bomb is designed in a way that without the fuse, you can't bypass it.
Sure. Got it.
Okay. So if there is this very famous scene, I don't know if it'll get a copyright strike from Broken Arrow, the John Travolta, Christian Slater movie.
Actually, no.
Okay. There is a very famous scene from it where this guy, John Travolta is the villain. He calls back and says, oh, the bomb cores are exposed. They're going to detonate.
From pure exposure.
So he claims, which is wrong.
Right, that
Because
doesn't happen.
weapons grade uranium has such a huge half-life period. You can literally sleep on a nuclear bomb for 90 years and not get cancer.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay, wow.
Yeah. So
How do you know this stuff, bro? That's so weird. What
I do nuclear.
Yeah, you have this unique weapons knowledge that like, wow, okay. Huh.
As opposed to a lot of unenriched uranium, which is actually very dangerous, you'll contract cancer in no time.
Right, exactly.
Okay, there's the Mayapuri incident where this fellow thought he had cobalt, which the Delhi University lab or JNU lab, I forget what, had thrown out. And what had happened there was he thought it was a sapphire.
And he had cobalt.
And he slept with it below cobalt 90. He slept with it under his pillow. Within 24 hours, he had radiation burn. Within 48 hours, it had completely wrecked one side of his brain. 3 hospitals in Delhi couldn't diagnose it till it went to the radiology ward of AIIMS, where it was finally diagnosed. It set a huge manhunt in a place to recover that cobalt 90. It was a nightmare.
Whoa.
So imagine 3 hospitals or 3 or 2 hospitals didn't even know what a radiation burn looked like.
Whoa.
And that is civil radioactive material that you give to a student lab, a bachelor's degree or a master's degree lab. That will not work for weapons.
Right,
Because the material will decay so quick. You want a nuclear weapon to last for hundreds of years.
Right.
It is an extremely stable form of uranium or plutonium that you use, which will not kill you. Okay. Now, what ends up happening is some of the materials around it to trigger either, so there are many types. There is implosion, where because you collapse material onto itself, uranium or mostly plutonium onto itself, it creates the chain reaction. There is gun type assembly, where you destabilize the uranium core through firing atoms at it.
Yes.
The third is thermonuclear, where you either have a gun type or usually an implosion primary device, which then sets off the
Main device.
hydrogen contained. It ignites it literally, and that becomes a thermonuclear. That is a fusion. But remember, all fusion devices have to first have fission.
Right.
Okay, it is fission that triggers the fusion, right? So there are lots of permutations, combinations to this. So this uranium, it was not going to kill anyone. Sorry, what context I lost the train of thought.
We were talking about how you were saying that Pakistan keeps its fuses and warheads separate.
Right. So Pakistan is notorious for sleeping with everyone and screwing everyone over. There isn't anybody they've slept with that they haven't screwed over. The Chinese, they didn't let them properly do the Pakistan-China economic corridor, which is why China is still very pissed off with them. Iran, they've played all kinds. Last year, Iran and Pakistan were throwing missiles at each other.
Yeah, they don't get along, generally speaking. Yeah.
Do you actually... Now, I know these generals. They're like, bhai, I've literally sat with a former I'm not going to tell you who, a former Pakistani army chief who told me, yaar, if you give us Kashmir, the bond between us will be so strong. If Pakistan threatens you, we will launch nuclear missiles on China. If China threatens you, we will launch nuclear missiles on China. So it wasn't just this fellow who got told this. I have been told this by a former chief of army staff.
Or a former chief. Which one?
A former chief of army staff of Pakistan.
Okay.
That if we returned Kashmir to them and bhaichara came between the two countries, Pakistan would be willing to die for India to protect India and launch a nuclear missile at China.
When were you speaking with Musharraf?
Not Musharraf. Okay. Who told you it was Musharraf?
I don't know. Just catch the reaction and say later.
No, you're not tricking me in this.
Bro!
But
we've
done a lot of these nuclear simulations and track twos. Mostly we don't do track twos. We are not trying to find peace. We're trying to find each other's nuclear threshold.
Got it.
So this is not the first time they've made this promise. What was the AQ Khan network? The AQ Khan network, Abdul Qadir Khan network, was the father of their bomb.
Yes.
Was basically promising this to every country. Actual promising and actual delivering. Even there they screwed people over. They gave them defective reactors. They gave them incomplete plans and things like that. They wanted the money from selling, but not for them to actually get it.
Guys, मैं बता नहीं सकता कि इस क्लिप में मैं वो सारी बातें डाल ही नहीं सकता जो उस पूरी कॉन्वर्सेशन में भी है. इतनी इंटरेस्टिंग कॉन्वर्सेशन है. आपको हमारे मेन चैनल पे जाना पड़ेगा, थोड़ा एफर्ट लगाना पड़ेगा, सब्सक्राइब बटन दबाना पड़ेगा, बेल आइकॉन दबाना पड़ेगा और हमारे साथ वक्त बिताना पड़ेगा.